this afternoon we were having a chat about the dog training in the handling, dog training part in the handling. And we kind of went off on a tangent.
We were talking about the difference between what we do and what others do in online teaching.
You can mute something.
And specifically on like how people use their online learning. So when we were talking...
I don't think it's specific to online though, because if you look at, if you join an agility class, I remember my first agility class. It was in 1989, and there was a fellow, it was an obedience school that I was an instructor at the time, and this fellow came in with these gigantic, like he homemade all this equipment. He was a student there at the school.
Like agility equipment?
Yep, made it all. He had a couple come in from England. Actually, they weren't coming in for another 3 months, but he made all this equipment for us to play on. We knew that he was going to come in and do the seminar. So we were playing out, but it was so militant and it was so, honestly, I really didn't like agility at all. It was so boring. Flyball I loved, it was fast, and obedience I loved because, it was so much fun to train. But agility was so boring because it was so militant. So, yeah, but my point about all that wasn't just to walk down memory lane, was dogs, if you take a dog or an agility class with 12 people, typically, and when we ran classes, right now we just keep our classes are just closed. We just have classes for our instructors who help us in our online program. But when we used to, we would get such a cross-section of dogs here, right? Like a lot of people, and people would say to me, oh, you probably only take border collies in your classes. Because some people in the sport are such an elite level that they can pick and choose who they want. And, as an elite handler, I can only teach maybe, 10 classes a week because I'm flying all over doing seminars. So in those, man, Phil's on a roll
He's
here.
producing. He says he can hear a fan.
Oh, so okay. I'll just look at that. Fan is gone. So, so at the elite level, that people can pick and choose and just put, the fastest, most athletic handlers with the dogs with the most potential will be in this group. With this group of, because
I've never done that here, so I'm like listening.
No, we
to
haven't,
you.
but a lot of people do. So I am elite handler number 1, and I am going to offer a class, and it's going to be. I can only let 10 or 12 people in that class, so I'll just pick these 10 or 12. But no, we've never done that. And what happens is, this is crazy. Somebody just walked. So what we've always done is you have a cross section of dog handler strengths and challenges. What is going on down there? It started with John feeding, and then it went downhill from there. And so you have to dog train in those classes. You can't just say, today we are doing pool noodles. Everybody get your dogs running around this pool noodle, because what happens is, well, my dog's a little worried about that big black lab that's having too much fun with his tennis ball, and he doesn't want to go around the pool noodle. Well, my dog doesn't see the pool noodle because he's so obsessed with my tennis ball so there's got to be dog training. You can't just take here's my lesson plan for agility, and everybody is going to do this tonight and this tonight and this tonight. You can, and people do, but that's where a good program will differentiate and will say, all right, well, tonight I want you to start off in the corner, and we're working on this with you. So my dog was a little timid because of the black lab. I want you to just do recalls by that PNU, the traffic cone. And my black lab is going to be in the corner and doing a little it's your choice with a tennis ball before I try to work with that tennis ball. Right? So there's just dog training that makes, if you spend the time and put the layers of dog training in, it makes the agility so much easier, right?
Well, plus then we can talk about how we did run classes, 16 weeks of
foundation.
So all the things
they weren't allowed on doing jumps or
tunnels
or and you know, so let's say you have I would say 24 weeks, or maybe you might get somebody, if you're teaching a class for 32, to get them ready to do agility. So most people would try to get them on the equipment in the first week and then send them home with a little bit of homework. But that once a week training, you know, by the end of the 32 weeks, you might have people being able to run sequences, but is there going to be that clarity and confidence in the dog? Where we did the first 24 weeks of just focusing on the foundation dog training, and then the next 8 to 16 weeks were like, you know, super fast.
You just breeze through them.
It's too bad we can't see people out there.
No. Does anybody? There's a comment.
Oh, so let's just refresh this and see if we are on the Susan Garrett dog training page, and I'm looking to see. I'm looking to see if you have comments, or if you have questions you want us to answer about.
I should get my computer.
The training and
see if there's any online, because you shared it online.
Okay.
Okay. Good.
Then just put it in the comments in Susan Garrett dog training. That's where we're broadcasting this from. First time we've ever tried it. You know, we were just sitting around talking dog training, and I said it would be fun if we could just share this with other people. I'm going to get my tea. And you can only see the butt of the dog. You can see the front of the dog. And yes, that's my terrier mug.
You made it.
I did not make that. This was a gift.
Oh, I thought you made that one.
No, from oh my gosh, I can't remember her name. Farley's mother.
But I know exactly who you mean, from California.
I love this mug. But I have made some very similar, but not like this.
She worked at
This
the
is a
zoo,
special.
right?
Okay. So the dog training, you know, handling, people think of handling as just like running. And the more dog training you do before you handle them, the easier it is. So, you know.
But we love that stuff. Right?
Yeah.
I think that's what we were talking about. We were talking about how passionate we are about the training, about the little pieces, right? That the pieces, the pieces that most people don't love, but the pieces that we think are so important.
And it's the if you take I've said this a number of times, and there's no science behind it. It's just my observation, and maybe I should have been taking notes over these years. But here's what I've noticed in all the classes that I've taught, and in particular, now I belong to these masterminds with people who teach other online classes in other.
That's what we were talking about.
Yeah, in other modalities, not related to dog training necessarily. But it's about, we're getting a note here. Oh. So it's about of all these friends that I've talked to that have all these online classes, and everything from tennis to herbs, learning herbs.
Turn that down.
Turn the mic down? Okay. There's a little wheelie somewhere. There it is. Okay. Ready? All right. How's that? Turning it down a little more. A little more. We're getting our producer on the dinger. Just okay. So, and maybe I should scooch in. So all my friends who teach online classes, but I noticed this before when I was teaching classes here. We used to teach a lot of classes. In any class, and again, I love teaching talking science, and so you can assume when I am reporting something, it is science. When I'm not, I just let you know. This is not science. This is Susan Garrett's observation. So in any class, you have 10% of the people in the class who are going to get it. They're persistent and they're brilliant at, you know what, I need to know this, and I don't care how crap of an instructor you are. 10% of every class, and those of you who teach classes, you probably see this. There are 10% that you can't hold them down. They are going to learn this stuff no matter what. And the thing that's a little bit sad for me is people use those as, look at my students. These students reinforce in me that I know what I'm doing as an instructor, right? And really, you've got to let your ego ignore that 10%. Not ignore them like, in who they are personally. Ignore the success of the 10%. Okay? So ignore because here's the thing. They were going to learn, the 10%, they were going to learn in spite of you, not necessarily because of you. And then, likewise, 10% at the bottom. In every class, there were 10% who they just don't improve. They never improve. And the reason they don't ever improve is because they don't do the work. Or they don't consistently keep going. And Lynda calls those the Weight Watchers because of how many times she signed up for Weight Watchers and never did the work. So
I've always called it that.
So she said they're Weight Watchers. So, but here's the point I'm getting at. If you're an instructor, or how we got this discussion going earlier today is because of the educational model. We run online classes. We've been doing it for 6 years, and we change it constantly.
Yeah, constantly.
Because for me, the 80%, if you're an instructor, your 80% that are in the middle are going to tell you they are a reflection of your ability to train. Don't get down that 10%, just don't seem to be getting it no matter how much. Still be proud of them and support them and let them wear your jacket and stuff. But don't get down on that. And the 10% that are kicking butt, they might be beating you in the ring. That 10%, they're great and celebrate them, but don't let that go to your ego.
I always, though, there's one thing that you do with that 10%. You'll stop. People don't know this. You'll stop and say, there's something they're not getting it. There's something about what I need to change.
Yeah, and that's about, can we engage them more in education? But it's the 80%. So if you look at, and like Handling 360, obviously, that's what we're talking about pretty much 24 hours a day here for the last 3 months or so. The 80%, we can pick up any of our students. Well, look, you tipped it down and now they can see my pinks. I had it tipped up so
that
they can see
wasn't
my
me.
pinks.
That was Phil.
Thank
okay,
you,
they're
Phil.
Done.
So that 80% is who I'm always focused on. And I celebrate the 10% who are brilliant and they're running off. But if you look at the videos of Handling 360, we've got more than 200 student videos online. And that's the 80% that, every year we can make them a little bit better, make it easier for them to get it.
Well, we were talking too about how inspiring they were.
Phil would like us to put John's lights on. And I'm not getting up because I've got my pinks on. Would you
I
do
was
that,
saying
please?
something important.
Yeah, I'm holding that thought.
Dear Lord.
Look at all these. Oh.
Wait.
No, leave them all. No, put his on. You turn them on and then you turn them off. That's good. No, leave everything else is good. Thank you.
They're not right.
Yeah, they are. Because one has two switches. So downstairs it's. Thank you. Okay. Did I lose your train of thought?
Yeah, that's okay. You go ahead.
No, we're all sitting on the edges of our seats. We want to know what you have to say. Oh,
It'll come. We'll come back to it.
People are going to be upset with me. Okay.
No, they won't.
Are you putting your?
Did you want me to see if there was anything on here? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, we don't have a way now to see what's going on because Phil made me turn this one off. I'm going to put this one on and see if the fan goes. Because we don't know if people have questions. I want to see that.
I don't see any questions, but I can go to mine. Okay, we've lost them for a second. Hang on. Here we are.
Oh, here's one. Stacy, do you think it's adapting about the changing of how agility has been evolving? I'm not sure what that was in relation to Jenny.
What? Huh? Stacy, I know Stacy. She's from my neck of the woods.
Is she? Oh, my dogs were terrible.
Do you think it's adapting about? Well, everybody's adapting to how, man, everybody knows so much, right? Okay, that's what I wrote. I'm telling a story.
Go with it.
Stacy, it's from our neck of the woods, and Dawn will, it'll just be funny to hear the story, but adapting. So when I started agility, we taught agility with a margarine container. Yes, they did do two.
They still do two
no.
in some places.
So,
Paige, can I have that, please? Bring me
a margarine lid. That talking about adapting and growing from what we know. So the margarine lid, and I went to my first trial with Spirit. And
there's no margarine lids.
There's no margarine, but better than that, we're in a soccer arena, 10 10 years ago, which they weren't allowed to be. It was in Kitchener. And the A-frame was here, and there was a soccer arena, a white circle here, and all the dogs ran off and started nose targeting the white. So, I mean, yes, we adapt. Like, man, things are changing fast. Faster than they, like, exponentially faster now.
And
because of the internet. Because of the availability of information, I think. Obviously.
How cool is this?
Okay, we're in. We got it figured.
You guys can see that I was wearing my pinks, and
Kim?
we're not dressed.
Where's Kim?
Well, you're dressed.
I am dressed.
Anyway, so where does that keep coming from? So the dog training, and that's the thing with the handling is if you I actually was manning the live chat today for a little bit.
Where did that conversation go? You had a train of thought, and then you just
Phil showed something, and then it reminded me of some of my conversations online.
So can we just tell them?
Okay.
I'm OCD in my own way as well, and this live chat is just so bad for the two of us.
Because okay, just one more, and then so what you can do is you can talk to 4 or 5 people at one time. So it's like a game. Let's get these conversations down, answer everybody's questions.
Also,
and then Lynda's like, "Can you talk to me, please?" And I'm like, "Okay, as soon as this one is done." And then
2 more come in. But the better part of
it, the chocolate factory.
It is. It's like the online chat, but it's a
Swagger does not like it when I get
probably
excited.
an even better story to tell how it came about, but it doesn't matter. But
we're not allowed to bang the table. We're going to get in trouble for Phil.
Oh my gosh,
okay. Keep going.
We're giddy. What were we talking about? We got off on the tangent about live chat about how things are evolving. Live chat. There's an example of live chat. We answered your questions today specifically on H360 for those people who just wanted one little specific thing answered. So that that's progressive in our lives, just like handling and everything new that we're doing. And you know what? I can't even get a day off that I don't come back and there's 5 new things that she has to show me. Look at this. This is what we're doing now. I can't keep up sometimes. I would like her to go on vacation to somewhere warm so that I and we as a team could catch up with her ideas because they are just flying everywhere. Okay. Oh wait, there's Lynda something.
Lynda?
Somebody wrote
what?
Nicole Brown. Oh.
Lynda, doesn't she, Nicole? She looks fabulous.
One piece of advice for when I bring home a puppy in 7 weeks.
Oh.
Another one of my peeps. You know what? Local London folk.
Okay. So give her a piece of advice when she brings it. Congratulations on the puppy. What kind of puppy is Nicole getting?
A border collie.
Nice.
I would start now. And I would build my puppy's record-keeping book, is what I would do.
And put all sorts of, pretty it all up.
Pretty it all up, the outside of it, put your tabs on it, and then when your puppy comes home, you're all ready to get started.
Did somebody, Jenny is asking me about doing a seminar in before or after EO.
Man,
didn't somebody ask me that already?
Yeah.
I had so much fun at the one I did in Italy. But I have my little group in Italy, and I'm not saying that everyone doesn't take great care of me, but oh my gosh,
they took good care of me.
They are my shout out.
They're
to
trying
my
to get us to go.
friends.
They're trying to get us to go after or before.
There is a chance
England.
I might do a seminar. Here's what's supposed to be happening. I'm supposed to fly from France to Africa, right? And so. I've never said this publicly, but I'm going to share this with the few people that are on the live stream here.
What are you about to say?
Every year, SAS Dog Training supports the building of schools in Africa. So we send a significant amount of our the money that we get in from our online classes, and we send it to Africa to build schools. We have almost single-handedly built a full school over the years. So they've been wanting me to come down and see the schools. And every year we get to name the class that we build. And normally, the industries, they name it, like Tex-Mex industry or whatever. That's what their classrooms are. And I decided that I wanted, who cares what SAS Dog Training is really? the people in Africa don't care about SAS dog training. Maybe my few students that I have in Africa, but generally, the kids going in and out of school. So I wanted the teachers and the students to read the name on this door every day when they walked in, and make them feel special. So we have I Am Grateful is one of the I Am Loved was one of our classrooms.
Inspiration.
I Am Inspired, that was one of them. I can't remember them. So every year they've been asking me to come to Africa, and so the plan was for me to go, and my thought was it was from leaving on the Monday after EO and coming home on the 10th, because we have camp starting on the 12th. Well, I just got the itinerary, and it goes to the 13th, so I might not get to go to Africa now, because I can't miss the first 2 days of the camp that we're hosting here. So there is a chance that I might have some more free time, which would mean I could go to the Canadian Nationals too. So this all just came up recently. We can talk about it later.
Okay.
I have no idea where that started, though. That was just a question about can I do a...
So we answered one question.
The banging you're hearing, Mentum has this game. She likes to take the bones and just smash them.
Just love the discussion on the percentage of students and who to focus on. Hit home with my pet classes earlier today. Perfect
Good.
time and command. So let's talk about the 80%. How do you help them?
So the 80% every day after class, you need to take notes on, because acknowledge that these are people that they really want to do better. And I don't care. I'm not saying that they're all want to be world team people.
No.
That people that are going to agility class, they want to see their dog having maximum fun. And maximum fun comes when the dog is going where it's supposed to go. Then the student has more fun and the dog has more fun. And guess what? That equals maximum success. So at the end of class, and I do this at camps, when I teach a one-day camp, I will go at night and I will say, here are the things that I think I missed the mark on as an instructor. Here are the things that I don't think I got, even after my videos, the videos that we posted, those videos, I don't know if you guys can see what happened to what they're seeing. You can see some on my whiteboard. For 3 months, I plan and map out on this whiteboard behind me, which is, I think, 12 feet wide and 5 feet long or tall. I map out what am I going to teach people. And then I evaluate after each video, did I hit the mark? Because for me, when as an instructor, and I consider myself when I'm writing a blog that is going out to the internet, when I'm doing these videos, that I sit down and I say, what do I know that people need? What can I share that's going to make it easier for people to understand X, whatever topic it is I'm writing. Every time I write something, that's what I'm writing
You always
about.
say, I know what they want.
No,
I know
what they need.
What's important to me, you'll say that.
Right.
What's important to me is what do they need?
And whenever I put that question out, all these ideas come. So she says, she always has these ideas. I come home, I sit and I watch those comments from
She has a book.
our
Where's your
video.
book? She has a
think
notebook that says ideas and celebrations, or
No, I think that's not my. This is my record keeping Minty record keeping notebook. So I write down, here's what it's goal setting, and that's all it is. So here's the things I'm going to teach, and then I review based on the comments when it's online, and based on what I see the students doing, and then I tweak it. You're not. Here's what I learned. I've been doing this for 27 years. I taught my first seminar in 1996. And I would say for the first 96, at least the first 5 years, and maybe longer than that. Maybe the first 10 years. Here is my approach to teaching seminars. I thought I was a pretty good teacher. But I was like, I've won the U.S. Nationals. At that point, I'd won the U.S. Nationals, and I won it in 96, and then I won it twice more in 98 with 2 different times. So I was and it wasn't like my ego was massive, but it was like, here's what I know, and just do this. I was, and people do this with their dogs too. I was dumping what I knew at the students, and being kind of annoyed when people weren't showing me that what I dumped was what I wanted them to know. And when I would really lose it as an instructor was when I would see somebody attempting to do what I told them to do, but in a way that was hurtful to their dog. And I would get a little cranky at the point. So for at least 10 years as an instructor, I would have my list of things I was going to teach you. And it was more like, you know what? I've won a lot of shit. So listen to me and just do what I tell you. And those 10%, they sure did excel. But those 80% never moved the needle. And it probably took me 10 years of teaching before I figured out there's got to be a better way for people who are spending money with me to actually achieve what they want and keep moving forward and raising their level with their dogs.
But it's the dog training.
But that's what it was.
That's what they needed.
But that's my point is, it's the same whether you guys are teaching a class and teaching your students or you're teaching your dogs, it's the same thing. Because other than, your 8%, your 80%, and your 10%, I think there's probably 10% of dogs out there that are just brilliant and they just, like Encore. I don't know that I've had a dog. Feature was a little tougher to teach. But she certainly wouldn't have been in the 10%. She was in the 80%. Encore was definitely in the 10%. And I had a horse, Keegan. He was in the 10%. And then my next horse, Spencer, he was in the bottom end of the 10%. So the dogs are going to be the same, other than they don't sign up for things and never take it, right? But your ability to train is going to be reflected in the average of the dogs you've had in your life. So you will have extremes, like Buzz and Decaf have been my two extremes. So they aren't necessarily, I think they were both very successful, but you can't compare that to, say, a dog like Feature compared to a dog like Buzz. A dog like Buzz is never going to have the success like a dog like Feature is going to have, right? Now, a dog like Buzz, if I had him today,
you have the physical learning.
But it would be the arousal that I'd work on, right? Mm-hmm. So if you have a dog who is higher, or they might not even be high at home. You might get them to a agility trial and all of a sudden they can't hold a start line.
You don't know them.
Right? And so those are dogs who, the excitement of the environment, and it could be just you.
And you need to learn how to
you're
work
a different
that, right?
person. Right.
As the dog trainer, you have to say, this is the space that I need to learn from.
Right. And remember that at the European Open with Swagger, when you made a comment about it.
I was watching Susan on my phone at work, and I've been here with him since he was a baby.
That was his first big event.
I had never seen him that high, and I was on it. Whoever was videoing it was a long distance away, and I could pick up that he had serious ants in his pants. And Susan, the difference between what Susan does and what the rest of the world does, she just stood there and she just waited.
Went to my happy place.
And my heart was pounding, thinking, really? Like, how long can you wait? And she just waited, and you could see her lower her shoulders, and she waited, and I was like, oh my God, I've never seen this dog. And sure enough, they had a brilliant run because she didn't let him
push me around.
Be who was in charge.
3-year-old monkey. Hey, do you know what? It's the Year of the Monkey. Japanese Year of the Monkey.
There's a great question here.
Okay, cool.
TR wrote, do you think it's possible to train your dog and yourself entirely through H360 from foundations to trial ready without ever taking a real class? They need to meet Shelly.
Yeah. Everybody, I'm sure you've seen the video of Shelly.
So you've met Shelly in that she's on one of the videos.
Yeah, from one of our in the bottom of video 4, somewhere partway down. I think, is she on there?
I don't know.
But for sure, it's a video stream, right? So there are case studies. There's 3 or 4 case studies in there, and if you just click on one, it runs about 9 of them. And
Susan talks about her a little bit in her video. The first, I think she's talking about coming to camp this summer, and that would be the first time that the dog's been.
She was at camp last summer.
No, she was at a puppy camp with him.
Okay.
Inside, right? But a real handling camp.
Mm. We bumped her into Masters, or did she let us bump her into Masters?
I did.
Poor Shelly. So definitely we have, and Irene, oh my gosh, Irene Kirkpatrick, who's in Japan, she cracks me up.
I didn't even know she was in Japan until...
I can't say her age, but I can tell you that in the video she said she was born just after World War II.
But the fact is that both those women...
just went from the videos. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't tell people to quit your classes, because the classes, if you have the time, the classes give you the distractions, but the the worst learning environment you can do is to, okay, let me talk about the dogs I have right here in the room right now. I have Feature, probably encores with her daddy, because that's how it goes. Feature and Menti are down here, Decaf and Encore, or Swagger. So I have 4 dogs in the class. If I had done all of the learning, if all of the dogs' learning was done just by going to class and then doing my stuff, Decaf and Swagger, we would have been a bit of a disaster. And Feature would have been just fine. She, you know what? She could have done no problem. Menti probably would have been somewhere in between. So there are a lot of dogs that they need to have the confidence instilled in them in an environment without the distractions. And then they can shine when you take them to a class. So the worst thing you could ever do to your dog, think of it as yourself. If you are, I'm gonna go and teach you like tap. Would you rather do that in a private lesson one-on-one, or would you rather go into a class of 20 other people who are judging you? I mean, nobody judges, but come on, we all do. So who are looking at you and going, oh, well, I'm better than them, that's why CrossFit.
I weighed 300 pounds when I took tap. Wow. I so could not have done that in a class. I wouldn't have did it. No, I wouldn't have done it. And
so there are some dogs that their learning doesn't really hugely impact by being in that class. But you've got to have a dog like Feature with a handler like me. Not from a dog training point of view, but I don't really care what people think of me. I don't really care if people are looking at the fact that I'm wearing my pinks.
Please don't show that.
So I don't really. Popular opinion doesn't really affect me the way it affects some other people. Maybe. Right? So, but for a lot of people, it does. And so that's why I say the perfect scenario would be you get on Handling 360, you learn the skills at home, and you look at class simply as a place to show off. Right? And do you remember there was a thread in Handling 360 a while ago? One of our students said they went to class, and you've got to understand that there'll be schools that are teaching that don't believe in the verbals. And so this student was in a school that was teaching a more physical handling style, and they did not believe in the verbals, but they allowed her to be in the class, obviously. But they would ridicule her. You've got to shut up, you're babbling too much. And so there was one difficult course, and there were 12 students in the class. And I think she had a Springer or something, but really driven dog, really, I can't remember what breed it was now. I'm talking out of turn. But anyway, nobody could get through this course, and she nailed it. Okay. And all that her student, unfortunately, all that her teacher had to say was, it would have been a lot better if you had shut up while you were running. And not understanding that the reason that she nailed it was because she was giving those predictive verbal cues to her dog all the way around. And so I would like to hope that most instructors will be a little bit more supportive and not, making fun of you because you're doing something different. The ideal situation would be to do Handling 360, get the skills up so that your confidence is here and your dog's confidence is here. And then you look at the classes as just challenges, just a place to go to. There's more distractions, right? There's the dog that's chasing the ball.
And you don't know what's coming up presented to you. A little bit of
there's going to be a little bit of nervousness.
Yeah, nervousness. I don't want to call it stress because it's really not stress.
Turn this off. Okay.
So I'm just reading down. So lots of people wanted that question actually answered. So that's good.
Which question?
About if you can do everything all at once. Without going to an actual class or to complement a real life class. Once you pay for the course, do you have access to videos forever?
No. I think of it as it's like college, right? You come in, you have a year of college, and we give you, you can download all your notes, but you don't have to take notes. Like at college, you have to take all your notes. We give them all to you. So you certainly can video yourself doing all of those lessons, and you could.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea.
Well, they do that anyway, so they can do a little compilation that goes with their.
Let me just tell you that this is the 3rd year we are running Handling 360, and more than 60% of the people who started with us, I can't remember how high it is. It's well over. I think it's closer to 70. But I know for sure it's more than 60% are still with us.
And passionately.
Mm-hmm. So
we're so proud of them.
Yeah.
I'm proud of them. Here's what I'm cutting in.
So,
I get really busy. I've been really busy, and my dog training has slipped. I would say slipped. It's just really not where my focus has been. But when I saw some of these videos, I am back at it.
She's inspired.
Like,
She's
I'm
like,
like,
get out of my
way. I am so, you know what, Shelly Irene, there was a third party too in this.
Kathy is the one who inspired me.
Everybody.
I got to tell the story about
I'm
Kathy.
in. You know what? You guys are my heroes.
I was going to make this comment in one of the videos, but I couldn't come up with a way to say it that wasn't hokey and self-absorbed, if you could part, So we have a student in Michigan who I had never met before. And I went to a trial by myself. You didn't go, Kim didn't go, nobody was there. And I was just, I sat in my chair, and this Kathy came by, and she kind of gave me this little, it's you, and then kept walking. And she came by like a couple times, and she just said, I'm one of your Handling 360 students. I said, oh, that's awesome, great. And then she went by again. And so this was on the Friday. And then on the Saturday, and she was like, I guess I really was a little self-absorbed because I had momentum there, and she is a bit of a handful at a trial. And so I should have, if I was, not so focused on what I was, my dogs, I would have thought, okay, clearly this is a person that would like to talk, right? And I welcome chatting to people at trials. So on Sunday, she came by and gave me another one of those. I think on Saturday she came in behind me and she did one of these, just gave me a little shoulder shake. It was so cute. And so she said, I just want to tell you that Handling 360 changed my dog, but more important than that, it changed my life. And I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean, Kathy? And she said, well, a year ago I weighed over 300 pounds. And she said, I've lost more than 100 pounds, and it's because of Handling 360. I said, we don't work you that hard, Kathy. And I said, I want to know how you lost 100 pounds. And she said, well, I felt supported, first of all. And I felt I was in a community who loved me. And anyway, then she said, I just made these rules. If you want to know more about how Kathy lost 100 pounds, I can talk about it another time. But because I wanted to know, I was so inspired by her. So inspired. If you're watching Kathy, you rock on. Because I've told that story I don't know how many times about how, I'll just give you the summary of how Kathy lost 100 pounds, is people can't tell you what to do and you have success at it. You can have success for a week or two, but when the excitement of getting started, we all have the excitement of getting started, period. And that's why with Handling 360, we're really careful about, was it Zig Ziglar who says motivation doesn't last? Which is why but neither does bathing, which is why we recommend it daily. So we take it on our shoulders to motivate our students by sending them emails. And now we have our progress checks and things like that. But so Kathy said how she lost 100 pounds was she set rules according to Kathy that no one could tell her. You had to exercise this and you had to eat this. But if she made the rules herself, she could follow them. So those are the rules according to Kathy. It was really inspiring. All right. A little off topic. I have no idea what we were talking about.
My cattle dog Canvas visits people in the ring, but only ones she doesn't know. I can't replicate this at home. Will H360 help me?
Yes. And you know why I can say yes, and I can say it with great confidence, is because your cattle dog leaves for the same reason that the standard poodle tucks its bum and gets the rabbit runs. And for the same reason that the dog with less confidence goes off and sniffs.
Or the Jack Russell goes off.
Right. So it's all related, and it starts with the lack of clarity in what the dog's expectations are. And I can take a dog who doesn't have great clarity and run them in agility, and they'll stay with me better than they'll stay with their handlers, right? And that's because obviously I'm experienced handler, and I can predict what the dog's doing based on the way their shoulders are tripping, the way what they're looking at, all these things. So I can have that success. The worst, if any of you rode horses, the worst combination you could ever do is put a green rider on a green horse. But unfortunately it happens, and in agility it happens exponentially. So Handling 360, what it does is we separate those elements. So we have we have exercises where that were filmed downstairs in the gym where it's just me looking in the mirror. If we can get your handling to be, 80% right all the time, then there's a very good chance that your cattle dog isn't going to get distracted. But at the same time, we are going to put in so many different layers of learning and fun and excellence in your cattle dog that what we're doing is giving your dog an inoculation against distractions.
Value for you, the value inoculation.
Right. Every layer, you can teach things like just jump in. Like, give me an example. So somebody might set up 3 jumps, and you're brand new to agility. 1988. Shelby was born in 1988. And I did say my first agility class was in 1989. She was born in July of 1988. And in April of 1989, after that first agility class, after my 8 weeks, I went to try out for Super Dogs. And it was at a fair, and they just said, all right, go in and go. And she'd never seen an A-frame before. And I just ran at things, and she was a great Jack Russell. She's like, I'm in, whatever. So if you look at learning with a dog, like in that situation, the seesaw, right? Yeah, I'll go on that seesaw. And then I get in front, you stop, wait, slow down. And then, okay, you're weird, but that's fine. And then, so they've gone from knowing nothing, can you see my drawing, to jumping to we're competing now, right? But what happens in H360, every one of these lines is a layer. So we'll take the seesaw as an example, even though we don't teach agility equipment in a Handling 360, make this really clear. So every one of those lines is another layer of learning. If the dog suddenly says, I don't want to do this anymore, then we just go back to peel back a couple layers of learning. And any of you guys, you saw my 5C model of learning, right? So we have the capability first. We have to outline what capability we want. We grow confidence in the dog, which produces, the dog gets more and more confident what they're doing. And then we throw the challenges at the dog. But what I did is I just threw the challenge. There's no testing the waters. It was just like, I'm throwing a challenge at you that's astronomically off the chart. Remember I talked about the 10%? Shelby was a 10%. Shelby was like feature in a Jack Russell body. That was my very first agility dog.
And I think if you look at some classes, all those lines that Susan drew, there might be 2 or 3 lines that really, for the unconfident dog or the overstimulated dog, they need 10 layers, and you're only offering them 2. And there's always places that you can fill. So just to go back to what Lee was saying, there's value building layers in your relationship with you and your relationship with the equipment that makes you a team.
Right.
And if those aren't filled in, then that's why you get. Now, if you go back, and I'll just tell you myself, I'm going back. I went back after watching, I'll call them my hour inspiring students, and I'm filling in holes with a 6-year-old that really should have been filled in a long time ago. But you know what? It's what it is. And I'm just going back to those layers. And you know what? When I come back out, they'll be...
And that's exactly what, right now there's 3 world team people that are in Handling 360 that I know of. I don't know everybody who signed up, but 4 actually, that have made themselves known to me that they are, they decided to take the course. And the first one I wrote about Angie on my blog, and I said to her when she emailed me and said, I'm thinking of Handling 360, of joining it, and I said, really? Like, it's a waste of your money, really, unless. And she said, well, I'm just frustrated, and I know I just want something more. And I said, it will work in your dog, and you will be brilliant. Which is kind of sad for me because, she's 4 hours from here, and I compete in her neck of the woods. And so at that point, I knew she wasn't a threat. My dog goes clean. But I thought, her dog is so talented. He's got such a lovely stride. He can collect. He can extend. I would have a hard time beating her if she actually had those layers put in. So she emailed me and said, what? Do you think I should do it? And I said, I think it would be a waste of your money unless you'd be willing to be a beginner, start at the very beginning. And to her great credit, because a lot of people who've had success would not be willing to do that. They would say, you know what, I'm good, I've had enough success, I will cherry pick the things that I think I'm missing and I'll put in those things. But to Angie's credit, she didn't. She was willing to go back and start over right at the beginning. And And it didn't take her long. I mean, it was within, she noticed a dramatic difference within a month. And she made it to the AKC finals within 6 months. And she'd never had a qualifying score in a standard run.
So that kind of takes us back to those success paths, right? So Angie being that success path, Shelley being the...
They don't maybe know what success paths are. So you could tell them if you like.
Well, success paths are the beginnings of where within H360 is the layers of learning that the instructors, Susan, we did like a team. It was like all of us got together and discussed.
It was back in November when I came back from California, and I said, this is what I want to do. This is how we can help be more strategic about helping people.
And so, we picked, so to go back, we cherry picked a few of the important things that we think that people would like to see within H360 that will help them right away. And then
What do they need?
What do you need? But then opens these doors to, like me. Oh, I don't have that. Like that skill fell apart on me. I need to go back and fix that.
So you want a tip and go back. I do talk about, I don't know how many of you people actually teach classes. This is the key to being an effective and successful instructor in anything you do. You have got to disguise the need as a want. So give them what they want, you have to disguise it. You have to just give them what they need, but it has to be disguised as a want. Because otherwise I'm not going to put in the effort to do something that I need, but I will put in the effort to do something that I want. So that's what those layers are. Those layers are fun for you and they're fun for your dog. So of course you're going to do them. So this just happens to be on my desk. So in the beginning, in one of the, I interrupted you again.
That's
you
okay.
can go back to the success paths.
No, it's good.
So in the success paths, every one of them, there are some common things that, like Lynda said. And right now we have the students that are in Handling 360. They're doing their evaluations. So we want you to evaluate in order to mark where celebrate where you've progressed to in a month in Handling 360, and then celebrate where you've moved to 2 months and 3 months and a year. You've got to get really good at setting goals and marking things down. And so we set these up in these evaluations. And one of the evaluations is a speed evaluator, right? So just for fun, see, data, isn't that exciting? I'll show you a picture with numbers. So it's evaluating speed on the flat. And here's the thing. We evaluate a dog's speed on the flat with you standing still. Because in agility, there's going to be times where you might slow your speed to cue some collection. And if that slowing of your speed causes your dog 50 feet away from you to start trotting, then that's not good. So one of the evaluations that we do right in the first week is lead out, and we time the dogs on a 60-foot distance, how fast they will drive to you with you standing still. And then how fast they will drive to you when you're running, and then how fast they'll drive to you if you take their number one thing in the world that they love most of all and put it out ahead of you 20 feet. So you can drag it if you want, but if they love roast beef or if they love a Jolly Ball, put it out in front. And so we have 3 different times, and they should all be the same time, and they're not. And when they're not, that tells us a little bit of information that you need, where do we need to focus things on, right? So for dogs that have been trained in lumps instead of layers, a lot of those dogs are faster when their favorite thing in the world is out in front of them. And the dogs who've been trained in layers doesn't change their speed at all.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't. Sometimes it actually slows them down because they get their head up. If you're holding something that they want, they get their head up, and their natural stride doesn't allow that head to drop between their front legs as they're powering up towards you. So that's just, something that it's important. These are all the little things that, people wonder why our course is, freaking $1,000 or whatever it is. It's the little things. It's what brings it.
I think I counted 500 lessons when I was doing FAQs.
And that's the thing. People go, well, how long is it going to take me to get through it? There's 500 lessons. So how long does it take you? You know what? You don't do all 500.
Right.
That it's like you do the things you need. Our cattle dog is going to need the layers that Angie Benaquisto didn't need. Right? And so we put things in. The most important things is you can't teach all dogs the same. They don't have the same needs. They don't have, and you're just banging the poor little Chihuahua's head against the wall if you're expecting him to perform like a border collie. Eventually, they'll get there, right? But you've got to go in and not have expectations that are a paintbrush, that every dog's going to be the same.
And that's why there are so many layers. But that's a really good way you put it, though.
And we did, and that's really why we put in the success path so people could see really clearly, okay, I don't need to, because they see all these things, all the shiny things in Handling 360, and they think they want to do them all. And this was a way to focus you right down this path. This is what you need.
Right.
Let's
back
get
to
on
what
it.
Stacey said. Do you adapt? Our school has always adapted.
Right.
But our school has always been, the strength in our school has always been the dog training.
Yeah,
always.
The science. That's what I was going to say. That's the science, right?
I just want to read The Spotted Devil. Thanks
they
to
talk about momentum?
No, just wait. Thanks to Katie and Geraldine, I've already discovered the joy of H360. I credit all of my Dalmatians being the first of his breed in Australia to gain his AG title. And now I'm thinking about the next step with H360 with my English Springer Spaniel.
Lynda loves the Springers. First of all, we got to give a shout out to Katie and Geraldine.
Can we tell that story? You know what? We were talking over each other. We said the same words. It reminded me of Naomi and
oh yeah, Karina.
So Katie. So I go to Australia between
Geraldine.
So I know it's better. Okay, well
Spit it out.
I teach in between when Susan goes.
So I go to Australia every few years.
And then I sneak in between.
Right.
So I went down to Melbourne where I met Katie and Geraldine. And I was there right after. So a lot of people don't know that I did not change right away to H360. Can I tell that story?
Yeah, no, go ahead. Because there's probably a lot of people going, I'm not changing.
So I had spent 10 years in a system, and I was successful at that point to that system, and I was not your standard agility competitor.
Let me just preface all this by saying there are people in life who are security driven, and there's people in life who are risk driven. And I
am not the risk driven.
I am the risk driven person.
So maybe that's why we complement each other here in business.
But also why we butt heads, because I'm just like, let's just try this.
Yeah. So I did not change right away. It was about 4 months. But my friend, so that's not my, well, you're my coach, but as a friend, she understood that I do not take risks. And she said to me, you know what, whatever you want, and I will support you. So as I saw the youngsters coming up, I will admit that I'm not dumb. And I watched those youngsters and I was like, wow. Okay, I'll try it. So I cherry-picked two behaviors. One was the early rotation front cross and check, and the other one was jump. And truthfully, jump changed my life with favor and made her even faster than she was. But speed. I met Geraldine and Katie about a month after I had joined H360, and now I go and I say, okay, this is what we're going to learn. You're going to learn the one-arm throttle, which is called the Canadian throttle, right? People love that. And those two were like, they just stood there and they're like, really? So they went off, they were partners, and off they went, and they practiced and they tried. They did a really good job, but I knew that they were very oppositional and they were polite. They were just being polite, but they learned. So then Susan's going and I say, Katie, you gotta go see Susan. And she's like, it's too far, it's too complicated.
It was a 6-hour flight or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, but she couldn't take a dog, right? So, she wanted to take a dog. Anyway, she went to see Susan, and
the funny thing was, I did the lecture on the Friday night, and the two of them were cross-armed, and I'm like, they're not buying in. You can tell by body language, right? Teachers, you can tell by body language. You get the glassy eyes, and they were buying into some of it, but they weren't really buying in. And you can tell, like, when things don't work the next day in class, if something didn't work perfectly, like Geraldine was a little bit...
Mother Goose?
Yeah, Mother Goose. But lo and behold, by the end of it, and when I talk to Katie and Geraldine now, they acknowledge they were going to take on board a few of those things. That's what they came for, but Lynda asked them to go. But they definitely weren't taking the system on. And by the end of the weekend, they're like, okay, we're in. And they're amazing.
They're both instructors, too.
And the difference in spark plug, so Katie's dog had a terrible time with bars. And again, one of those dogs, he looked just like the demonstration of swagger in where he went running into the tunnel when I did a front cross and he shouldn't have, right? It appears that he's not listening. And with Border Collies, they're so driven and they're so, let's do that again. That it looks like you're just a blockhead. You just don't care about what I'm doing. But when you get it out right, yeah, they do care because it's called response cost. They want to do things as fast as they can. They love it. Border Collies love anticipating what's next. And that's
they're bred to do that, correct?
Exactly. So that's a long story to talk about. And so anyway, they came to camp here in Canada last summer.
So Spotted Devil says Katie loves telling that story too.
So I'm not telling stories out of class.
So somebody asked a question about recolors. I'm currently doing recolors with my 4-month-old Border Collie, and it's already transforming us.
Nice.
What do you suggest doing all of these different courses?
Well, recolors and handling 360 certainly complement each other. And we have some of the recolors games in a really shortened version in the puppy path, right? In the path for dogs who need more joy. We have a few of them in there. So I would definitely say you can blend those two together. If those are the only two courses you're taking, then I wouldn't have a problem. But if there's other things that you're doing that are not complementary, then I would say then wait until you're.
But a 4-month-old, I'm wondering if she means the 5 different courses of.
Oh, so if you're a 4-month-old puppy, you're going to be in the puppy path. And you're going to move over to, so the way think of Handling 360 as a university, right? Or all in one from K to university. Kindergarten all the way up to university, one class. So you're in the puppy path, and then with 4 months old, there's a lot of things you're going to build excellence on. And there's a ton of behaviors in the puppy path even. We've got a lot more we're putting in, right? This year that we haven't had in the past. So, and then from there you go to flat work, and you could get your puppy in flat work by 4 months old, 5 months old. How old does she say? 5 months? That she is now?
It's 4. The puppy's 4
now. So by the time you're through the puppy path, it'll be like maybe a month from now, and then you're going to flat work, and you'll build that up until, the only thing you have to wait until the dogs, I would say, I like to not do much sequencing until they're a year to 15 months old is my preference. That I am not doing much, I'm doing sequencing, like at, 12 or 13 inches when they're, I don't know, a year, maybe 10 or 11 months old. So Momentum has really not done much sequencing because I've been away a lot. And what was that sequence that we just set up?
I wasn't here.
So I don't remember what it was at all. So she's doing things from our blueprint. That's really where she's working in now. I have not. So she will be a year old in a couple of weeks, and I have not done triple double with her yet. I probably won't start that until she's 14, 15 months old for me. And that's just the way I believe in raising a agility dog. I know there's a lot of people who do things differently. At the end of the day, we all end up at the World Championships together. But this makes sense to me. My focus is on raising a great family pet, and then helping. What you're going to find in the puppy path is primarily exercises to create flexibility, strength, proprioception, so they have an awareness of where to put their paws.
Mind and body too. Mm-hmm. It's mind too in that.
Working with arousal.
Yeah,
that's the one thing
some of you are writing those questions about self-control, arousal. Will it help my dog with self-control outside of agility life? You know what? Any of those games Absolutely. We play. And they're all part of those layers, right? So even if we're teaching one jump with a P&U from Blueprint here, we teach it first with understanding, but then we add arousal in it at every layer. So, does it help that all of our dogs, when we're working with these youngsters, all have to stay on their dog bed or on a table? Does it help with their self-control for agility or life outside of agility? Absolutely. Absolutely, it's an important part.
So here's somebody who wrote a long comment, but it's worth repeating. She's not joining Handling 360, which is unfortunate. I wish I'd found the H360 principles before I started with my girl. I went to agility class when she was 1 year old. I think this is pretty typical. I went to my first agility class at 1 year old. Basically, we were starting on sequencing with no foundation. Now we've been agility for 2.5 years. I see the importance of foundation. So now after an injury, there's a long pause and I'm having to start from the start. So I'm going to finish that in a second. But that's so typical. And that's what I mentioned in video 4, is that you go forward without the clarity that the dog needs, without that confidence and understanding. And then eventually they get injured. Not saying that dogs who have clarity and confidence don't get injured, but a lot of the times it's because they don't have clarity and confidence that they will get injured. And so, you've now spent 2.5 years. You spent 2.5 years and an injury. And now I want to start back, but she goes on and says she can't afford Handling 360. I think you can't afford not to have Handling 360. I mean, maybe that's being a little bit biased, but if you read, it took 2.5 years. And now I'm going to start over, but I want to try and do it on my own, which is fine. That I'm not saying everybody needs to join. Actually, we'd have to close registration down if everybody wanted to join, because we just can't support everybody. But my point is what's your time worth? 2.5 years of not reaching your goals and being frustrated, and what you said, the relationship between you and your dog when everything makes sense. Keep going back to that comment that Bob Bailey made. When it's right, it's easy. So that 2.5 years, if it's of things that you don't have to say, oh, we gotta tear this whole thing down and start over.
So one of the things, there's lots of things inside 360 that are not handling, and warm up and cool down is an example of something that Susan Garrett has been obsessive about for
my whole career,
27.
Yeah.
So as soon as I met her, and she's tried so hard to instill it in all of us, and it's not innate.
Yeah.
So there's a little there's a lesson in how Susan warms up and cools down her dog, and it doesn't matter if we've just left this house and we go out there. That same practice happens all the time for Susan.
When I'm training, it's the same. And I think about when people talk, and I'm happy to talk about the investment in H360. We have 2 students that I'm not quite sure when they joined us. It's back in 2014, that have made comments on our website. They're both from Africa. One of them, it's half their monthly salary when they joined Handling 360. The other one was her entire monthly. Imagine if it cost you your entire month's salary to join Handling 360. Imagine, would you do it? Well, these people say it changed their life and it's the best thing they ever did, and there is no regrets. And they've been with us and re-signed up again. It's not like they said, I've learned it, I'm out. Right?
I think you have to look at it differently than it's X. It's...
When you think of what you have spent money on in your lifetime, I can, again, I can't make that decision.
So there, somebody asked another good question. Bridget wants to know, can you tell us a bit about the opportunities that exist for personalized feedback?
We have, everyone gets personalized feedback. But if it's from me personally that you're asking, I'm in there every week, but we have a staff, honestly don't know, 10 I think it is, of amazing instructors, and most of the time they've got to,
and they've come from the beginning. So an example, like Katie's come from the beginning.
She's an awesome instructor.
Katie, and Andrea's another example that she pushes Brilliant. Susan to, and in everything she does, she'll say, you know what, you did, that's not,
Andrea
that's
is
it.
who I bounce my ideas. My new training ideas, I bounce them off of Andrea because she just has this different way of looking at things. So if you could pay somebody $100 to look at your video, would it be Susan Garrett or Andrea Gwinded? There's no doubt I would be giving your money to Andrea. Mm-hmm. She just sees things that I it's different. Her vision is different. So I have hand-picked instructors that are amazing. And I go in there to...
But they've been with you right from the beginning.
Yeah. Right. So, Andrea, it's been almost 10 years now, right? Because it was when Phoenix.
And each one of them attends all of your workshops.
I have I have 100% confidence in our staff. So if you want an answer, every question answered by Susan Garrett is not going to happen. No, I don't. Because my staff is as good or better than Susan Garrett. And I'll go in there and and look at their and go, because I learned too from what they said. Oh, what a great way to teach it.
And if it's something that one of us don't know or don't understand at any one point, we would say, hey, can you look at that? And what do you think of that? And again, a lot of times, some of these questions that people generate, Bridget, are questions that are like, that's a really good question. And that's very thought-provoking. And, we'll talk about it and we'll set it up and we'll try it.
I tell you what, though, we have a goal that every single question gets answered by at least one of us, if not more. And we've got things in place for this upcoming year to make sure that, that's always kind of, it's been a goal that's been guiding us, but we have things in place this year to make sure it happens for sure. We have full-time employees that all they do is answer questions for our students.
But the other thing too is that, you talk about that sometimes about, answering your own questions.
Well, that's the thing that we do differently. So, and I've given this lecture because I've actually lectured to other people on online education, not in dog training. They take the model that we've used and how can we help create a community of brilliant graduates. And so I have lectured on this topic. And one of the things that we do differently that I think is important is when people ask questions in Handling 360, we ask them to pose your question and what do you think the answer would be? And you know what? It could be like, talking to a Martian. If I knew the answer, I wouldn't be asking this question. But what you do, we have this long little thing that we put on our webs, on all of our classes. If you've been in any of my online classes, you've read this, where I say, every single one of us is an expert to somebody in our life about dog training, right? So you may just be a pet owner who's only had a dog for 9 months, and you've gone through recallers. And so your dog is brilliant. He can do it's your choice. So one day the UPS driver comes in and says, holy smack, you know what you're doing. Hey, I just got a dog and he jumps on me when I come home and I don't want him to jump on me. What could I do? So you who've been training dogs for 9 months, but who's been through the recallers program, somebody says, you are an authority. Give me your opinion. And your brain instantly says, yeah, we're an authority, man. We know, we got this. And so your brain will say, well, in recallers, it's your choice, but with your body instead of a cookie. So here's what I would have you do. So you have an opinion, and that's what we want our students to do when they post questions in Handling 360 or in any of our courses, is if you have a question, now they don't all do it, and we answer everybody's questions regardless, but it's the old, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day and teach a man to fish. We are about creating brilliant dog trainers. And so we ask you to come up with your own solutions, and then we will either completely ignore them and pretend you didn't say a thing and just give you our opinion, or we'll say, well, what about this? And help you to really start understanding what it is you're doing.
And we're always encouraging people to video. So you should have a record of what you're doing. And it's so easy. I have a favorite lesson within H360 that I venture in there quite a bit. And I always say, what did your video look like? And most, if not all, send back a little clip. And those that don't, they go in video and then they go, oh, that's what I was doing wrong. So that it's easy for them to see how to make the change.
So there's a question about barking. My favorite topic, said nobody ever. And it's sad that I can't read the name, but stopped because their dog was barking so much. And honestly, I think I'd probably do that too. I can't stand barking. Some people don't seem to care. This could be the next dog I have that barks on course. I hope not. I've been doing my best. Any of you that have seen us in Puppy Peaks, you've seen that can you just push your computer in? Because I don't want her to hit it and it boom. Oh, something else went boom. That's funny. So, can you fix that? Yes, you can. Here, I'll take that.
I thought the same thing.
You can fix it. It just depends on how much time and effort you want to put into it. And so what you have to do is start training something that the dog won't bark when you're training. Give them a ton of reinforcement to start, and then give them a behavior that you might get a small level of barking from. And when they give you the barking, that you just ignore them and sit down and get up and do it again. And it's time consuming because I just want to dog train. But that's what I had to do with her. And I was managing to fix it. I did manage to fix it. Moo, can I have the thing? The worst thing for me was barking when I'm trying to train another dog because I just don't like it. Thank you. Are you cute? You're so cute as a baby. So cute as a baby. That's so cute. Come on, then. Yeah. Yes.
Honey badger.
It's a honey badger. That's a honey badger.
Is there any other questions that you have?
Let me kiss us. Thank you. Okay. She only gave me a big kiss because she wanted to, not because I asked her. There you go. Okay.
Gwen writes, I'm a pet rat owner who has learned quite a bit about basic behavior modification, but haven't engaged much in training of my fuzzbutts. Would handling
Awesome.
360 benefit
Come
me?
on, Gwen. We gotta be our first
where
rat.
Where no dog is available.
Come on. How much fun would that be?
I know. I must share that wearing my 360 shirts have found many of your students at trials. Yeah, I love that. But I love it when you come and say hi to us.
Yeah.
And I want to know your name. I don't want you to, hi, I'm a 360 student. And then you could carry on. I'm like,
And she'll remember your name.
I want to know your name.
Me, not at all.
And then when you come back, I say, Susan, that's Mary.
Yeah, that's what she does.
Really?
She's my memory bank for names.
Okay, so I wear my 360 shirts, and I've found many of your students at trials, and through that community, we have great discussions on handling since we all speak the same language. Well, that's a nice line.
Mm-hmm.
What about limited equipment training?
Well, we don't actually use equipment in Handling 360. We use very, very little equipment until, well, obviously coursework, but again, K to 8, kindergarten to grade 8, and all through high school, and so we use things. And I mentioned this in one of the videos this time around. I won my first 3 world U.S. national championships, and all that I owned were 3 jumps, a tunnel, and some stick in the ground weave pulls. That's all I owned. So I'm even more, basic than that now. In that we don't even need, we use, traffic cone or something. You know what? Get them circling. I can get my dog to circle around this. So you really don't need much equipment at all, but you need access to agility equipment if you want a trial. So you have to get to that place.
Gwen was serious. I'm serious. Would this class be spot on for me from
Gwen,
A to Z?
You know what, Gwen?
A to Z handling.
Well, handling, yes, not the contact and stuff like that. But here's the thing, Gwen. We give a 30-day guarantee. And that's why everybody who's thinking about handling 360, think of it, you can think of it as a 30-minute guarantee. Get in, look around, go, this ain't what I want, and get out. And, okay. I thought that, okay, I'll do it. So, you know what? Gwen, sign up for Handling 360. I want to teach a rat.
Video. We would need a video.
Yeah. And then after, 28 days go, maybe this was too much. But, okay, Lynda wanted me to show you because I don't know if there'll be a glare will be too much. Okay, so this is...
Tip it down. Yeah, there you go.
Can you hold your side so I can move it?
Yeah.
So this is our course inside. And you can see these are all the different courses that I'm just going to read it to you now. So the first one is the success paths. That's the first one in the orange there. And then we have our courses. So prep school is what everybody's working on now. And the success paths is those evaluations. Remember I talked about the speed evaluation and all that. And then puppy skills. There's a ton of things in puppy skills that's open now too. And then we have our main courses, flat work, blueprint, triple double, and coursework. And competition den should be up there. That's the other one we're talking about what to do at a trial. And then, this is, if you want to see, that's everything that's inside. That's it. And then there's a spot where we have bonuses, a link to Agility Nation, stuff like that. Okay, so that's what it looks like. And
Funny Farm Gang is doing H360 with her goat.
Fun. Come on. I want videos.
Yeah, that'd be
It's
fun.
all animal training. I just love animal training. Come on, Gwen. I want reports too. Gwen, I want to see post videos under every lesson. There's a place you can just post your videos, and we can go in there and comment on your lessons. So post some. I want to see rat videos.
Phil said, "Show my courses."
My courses. Oh, so wasn't that? Oh, that was the start here. Okay, so I showed you the wrong thing. Here we go. So this is a better view, so you don't have to see the picture of me.
The producer just came in.
Producer, okay, can you hold that other side, please? So this is when you go to our course page, and if you hit on one, it just flips over and says what's inside. So let's go down to Success Paths.
I think Success Paths were at the top right-hand corner.
No.
They moved.
That was on, these are courses in the Success Path. Isn't a course. That's what Phil's telling me right now.
Oh.
Okay. So we'll go
Just do this one. Oh.
That's cool. All right.
Just
Here we
go
go.
in one.
Oh.
Oi.
What? You want me to go in what? Just a regular course?
Yeah.
Okay, so prep school?
Sure.
All right.
Okay. So there's prep school. And here's each of the lessons.
Okay, and this is a cool thing. So these are all red, right? And you touch one. The first one is Drive to a Toy. So I'm going to touch it and say we're going to start this lesson. And then you have your
Video.
and
then let me just, oh shoot. Sorry, it's going.
Laura and Hardy.
So then there's the text instructions. There's the PDFs.
Let me see if they can see that.
There's the PDFs. You just click on them. There's the instruction, and there's the video. There's the 3-part learning. Okay, what else?
Then you go click down and Susan, rude. I'm talking. And then you go to the very bottom, and there's a blue bar that says complete. So you've downloaded everything, you've completed it, and you can click on the blue button. Okay, and then what that does is you see at the top,
right here,
the little
the
green bar advances and says, okay, you're that far through prep school. And then if you look on the right-hand side, I'm getting really, this is terrible education right in here. You want a bad education model? Putting a shiny iPad screen up to
Okay, you know what? It's just fun.
But I want you to see how the little, on the list on the side, there's one that's got a green check on it, which means you finished that lesson. So if you go away on vacation, or you want to go into puppy path for a little while because you want to build your dog's body awareness up, but then you want to go back into your success path and figure out where you were, it's all mapped here.
So there's another good question. This is a really good question.
Okay.
Do I have to start at 1 and go through each class?
I would strongly encourage you to.
So that's what the success paths are going to help you with, is to help you guide you in those first introductions to our courses, and then you get a feel for where let's just say example, you're a high achiever on a success path. So
a high achiever is somebody who doesn't have motivation problems with your dog, so that they are focused, they don't go off sniffing, and they don't have control problems. Your dog isn't over the top, breaking start lines, breaking bars.
And you've done agility before.
And you've done agility before. So those are the 3 criteria to be in the high achiever group. It has nothing to do about being on a world team.
So just imagine then high achiever is at the top, and then a column down with lessons that we suggest that you visit to help you, like a head start kind of thing. So you go in those, but you get to lesson 4. I'm just giving you an example. You get to lesson 4 and you get in there and you go, oh, no, I have never taught this. Then you'll go, oh, look, if I go to foundation, there's a flat work lesson on teaching this lesson. So it allows you to go, I should go back. So that's what happened to me. So I was doing something and I was like, I have a big hole.
Sorry.
So I have a big hole. So I'm going back, but I'm doing all a blueprint. But I don't need to go back into prep school for me. So example is, do you have to start at 1? You should go through and look at them all, and then look at your success paths, and then decide how you want to proceed. A lot of our students, when we discussed this in the meeting, they all said, I started at the beginning. I started at 1 and I went through logically.
So when we'll just tell you, we were putting these success paths together, we took a panel from Handling 360 students, and we asked them to contribute their ideas. And we had a cross section that we had one person in there who teaches classes. We had Shelley in there who had never gone to an agility class. And then we had a variety in there in between. So the question, can you jump around? Gwen asked about her rat because there'll be things she doesn't need.
Oh,
So
was about a rat.
So yeah, Gwen, because there's things like you probably won't need the early lower body rotation lesson, I wouldn't think. Because what you'll be doing for all you people training your rats out there is you'll be focusing more on the verbals, because you'll want the rat to get things on cue, but it's not going to be dependent upon, handling is physical cues and verbal cues. And from what I've seen on the internet, because I love animals, so I might happen to watch the Odd Rat Agility, is it's more the cues are the equipment themselves, that they're the prompts. So you don't necessarily need, you need to work on behavior change. You don't actually need to work on how you're holding your arm when you're doing a threadle. So that part, yeah, you can skip those lessons and just mark them as done and skip ahead.
I just tripped over a comment that I want to read. So Laura, you would have met Laura on the blog. Laura has a Border Collie from Michigan. And when Susan was talking about money, I was in this spot last year worried about financial commitment. Less than $15 per class. You can't get that anywhere for a group, let alone a private. You can't think. Just jump and change your life.
Aww,
that's great, awesome. Great line.
Yeah, let's take that and we'll build a whole video around it next year. I just know that people who do it, they just don't look back. When you think of all the things that you can spend your money on, we are a little bit mentally ill for whoever asked. But who amongst us isn't? That's the question. So that's the thing. If you have an interest in agility, it's a no-brainer. Sorry, it's a no-brainer. But I would say the biggest challenge that students might face is if you are going to class and you're going to a class where you aren't supported. I'll tell you what, I believe in ongoing education. So I spend a lot of money every year in learning. And that's just who I am. It's who I graduated from university and walked into a community college and signed up for classes. And I've been going to learning about things my entire life ever since. And one of my workshops that I go to every quarter, we were talking last time. I'll just share this with you. I think it's fascinating. Write down your 3 favorite clients. So we are all from different walks of life. So they want us to write down names of 3 favorite clients. And then on another page, write down the names of 3 least favorite clients. And so that was hard. I could only think of one. And it was when back in the days when I had to teach in person. It was probably because I was such a jackass in the first 10 years of teaching. So, but anyway, and then write down the mindsets of those 3 favorite students. And it's amazing that the people in Handling 360 have the same mindset. Mm-hmm. And the mindset, not in all of our online classes, in Recallers and ICPs in particular. And the mindsets are, number 1, I can't remember, it was 5 mindsets we had to put down. Number 1 was they want to do what's best for their dog always. That's number 1. Number 2 for me was they're not afraid to do things differently. So some people don't want to do Handling 360 because they live in a community where everybody else is doing something else and they don't want the pressure of being ridiculed or looked at. So when I look at the mindsets of my top 3, it's not like, Lynda cares more about what people think of her than she should. So it's not that all of our students don't care what people think of you. We spend a lot of time in mindset, a lot of time in helping you to, I want to talk about my little exercise from European Open, because I think that will help a lot of people in mindset too. So that was just one of them. The other one was I can't remember all 5 of them. But I remember the number 1 for me was they always want to do what's best for their dog. And people are...
Tenacity for me.
Persistency. That was persistence. That was another one. That they are persistent. That they fail, but they don't give up. So the best.
They're not a quitter.
Right. They don't just walk away. So I can't remember them all. But anyway, I have no idea what my point was on this. But
I don't know either. It's flying up here. You were going to talk about mindset for EO.
Okay, so this is any of you who go to it, put up your hand. If you ever go to an agility trial, and sometimes sometimes when around dog folk, there's a little bit of drama in life. Sometimes there might even be a little bit of toxic thinking. And what it does is it changes the aura of that atmosphere for you to try to go in and compete. And so you get defeated before you ever step in the ring because, so-and-so said something badly about you, and then so-and-so really wants you to do badly. They would love for you to... I remember one of the worst was when I was trialing in an agility in Houston many, many years ago, and Buzzy was barking, and that was the whole hoo-ha-ha that they were going to... The police were almost called because of my dog's barking. The woman who wrote about barking. And at one point, Buzzy had won the first 3 classes he was in. And finally, he knocked a bar in one of the classes. And when he knocked the bar, there was a small group of people that were in the stands, and they stood up and they applauded. And so it was lessons like that made me get to a point in my life where I really don't care what people think about me. But this is 27 years of lessons. So here I'm going to give you a little tip. That this is something that... I was traveling to an event where I knew there were going to be people there that were not fans of Susan Garrett. I know, shocking. There are people out there that are not fans of Susan Garrett. And I would have to see them every day. And so how, walk into a room and the room goes quiet because they were talking about you, or at least your brain thinks they were. So how was I going to deal with that? And this is mental prep in sport is something that you start doing, at least, a couple of months before you go to the event. And so I made a decision. This was what I was going to do. Whenever I saw one of these handful of people, mentally in my head, I was going to say 3 things really nice that I could think of to say about them if they were suddenly, killed in a car accident and I had to speak at their funeral, right? So it wasn't like I was wishing for them to die. Don't worry, don't think of that. But everybody, no matter how pained or hurtful they can be towards you, everybody in life, they've got some good in them. And so maybe they raise great kids. Maybe they love their dogs. Their love of their dog is so obvious. And maybe it's just, sometimes you have to reach for it. It's just the way they groom their dog. I don't know. I remember in the horse world when she had a great collar. One of my horses was the worst built horse on the planet, and people would see him, but he was a chestnut, and his tail was chestnut with blonde underneath. It was really cool. So you knew when people would be polite, they would say, "He's got a beautiful tail." So that's what I would do every day, because here's what happens. Your mindset, if you go to a place of gratitude, your mind will not allow you to have a bad day. And if you go to a place of gratitude, by the end of the day, if you see somebody, no matter how toxic or mean or angry they've been towards you, if you see somebody and you rehearse, you ask your brain, what are some nice things? Every time I saw them, what are 3 things I could say about them? And I had a rule for myself that I wasn't allowed to repeat the same things on the same day. What can I say nice about them? Then you're going to a place where by the end, your outward experience, I think you're outwardly showing love to them, whether you really want to or not. By the end of the weekend, guess what? You might even have new friends. Not that, I want
Okay, I got to tell you something on that same line. So here's an example of our community. On the YouTube discussion, Rebecca, who you've seen on our blog, she had a dog in the contest.
Has a blog.
A dog. Okay. A dog. She suggested to Sarah, Sarah's above, who is she's in vet school, I think it said. So right. Rebecca says this is an example of generosity and sharing in our community. Have you ever looked at essay competitions? That's how I paid for my entire tuition last year. So then, again, other people in our community say, wow, that's great, Rebecca. And then Rebecca shares with Sarah how to get extra money from essay contests.
What's an essay competition?
I don't know.
I want to know more about that.
You have to research them. They vary in topic from recycling to history to poetry, but every little bit helps. Rebecca might have to teach us all about that. So there's an example of how our community works. Somebody asked about dogs at different levels in H360.
I want to get up, but I don't want people to see the pigs.
What do you want?
I want to get one of our H360 books.
Okay.
I think they're.
So
I think,
can
I
you
think
just
Kim's
go on?
got them in a pile.
Can
in
you
the
just
back
go on
in the
that line?
closet.
Kim is watching. And
Is she?
If you get up,
She's
she goes pink. She's already mad at you.
I didn't plan on getting up, and I thought we'd only be on for an hour, so I didn't think anyone was going to join in. But we got a whole party going on here now.
Sarah's in high school. She's not in vet school. Okay, Sarah. But anyway, Rebecca gave you great advice.
Do you guys see the little puppy in behind there sucking on her bed? They're not. They don't chew. Don't worry. They don't chew. They suck on their bed. They're
Ask Kim where they are.
Kim, can you write down where my H360 books are? I know 2 of them are in the building. Blueprint and Triple Double are in. No, Triple Double and Coursework should be in there. So somebody was asking about, can't you do a DVD for Handling 360? You know what? Handling 360 changes every year. And it's not like I go, oh, change my mind. I come up with new ways to teach something, or I come up with more effective ways. I'll give you an example. In one of the videos, I demonstrated the sprinkler cue, which is a sound I'm not going to make, or my dogs will all get up and get all excited. And I've always used that. When I first started in H360, it was a sound I meant where I either said jump, which is go straight, check, check, which is turn back to me, or sprinkler, which would always meant there's a turn coming. And what I found was that when I used the sprinkler most was before a threadle. That there was a threadle coming up here, or there was a threadle in a tunnel. You have a tunnel opening and the dog's heading here. So it would be sprinkler and then a threadle to go into this end. That's the things that I was using it for. And so what my dog, you always got to listen to your dogs. So after a year of using a sprinkler, my dogs figured out that sprinkler means a threadle's coming. And in some systems of, like in the system that Lynda and I worked in agility before, we spent a lot of time dog training the dog to not predict. So for example, threadles. We would do one arm and they would come in, we give them a reward. One arm, reward. One arm. And the reason we would do that is because we didn't want them to predict and do what's on their own. But I thought, well, dogs are brilliant at predicting. Let's allow them to predict and let's reward them for predicting. So now, when I bring up my threadle, the dog says, got that. If you look at the video 4, where Swagger's coming up the line and they show it in freeze frame and he's going over a jump and I start the sprinkler right after that, before my arm even gets up, you can see Swagger's eyes and he's starting to go to the back of the jump because he heard the sprinkler and he knew a threadle was coming. So even before I changed arms, which I thought was hysterical, he's powering up the jump and then he heard the noise and he starts going. So my point, there is a point somewhere in all of this. So my point is, a year into Handling 360, I realized I need another verbal cue. I can't just use threadles for a turn. I can't just use a sprinkler to say a turn is coming. So a sprinkler is going to be used for threadles.
So and that's why you don't have a DVD.
And the reason I don't have a DVD is because we're always changing. But what we do is once you've gone through Handling 360 once, the first year, when you come back in the next year, we give you these books. And there's one for each classroom. So this one is Triple Double. And so these are all of your lessons.
Which they're the same ones as you printed off the PDF.
You can print them off and put them in a binder yourself.
Yeah.
But we just give it all in one little neat download for you. So, and I personally have them. So right now, Triple Double is in the house because Momentum is not anywhere near ready for Triple Double. And I'm working on my blueprint, and it's out in the building, and that's why it's not around, and that's why I couldn't show you. So that was a really long answer to tell you why there is not a DVD and there won't be a DVD.
Okay. The rest of them are all supportive and helping.
You know, it's crazy. Things that you spend the most time, for me personally, the things that you spend the most time debating on financially, just listen to your inner voice and figure out where you can get that money if it's right for you. And if your inner voice says, this is not the right time, here's the thing that I do, because I'm a person that just does things.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Let me tell you.
And I just waste money after money. I just do things. And so I have learned to ask myself this question, because for some of you, this might not be the right time to be doing Handling 360. The question is this just another distraction, or is this really going to change my life? Ask that question, because it might just be, for some of you, it might just be another distraction. But I know.
I just have a question. I just hijacked it.
Hijack away. I'll be drinking some water.
Alyssa, I'm wondering if you could answer this question. You asked a question, and you've posted it 3 times. You keep cutting and pasting it about using punishment in agility.
Wow.
And you're young. You're in high school.
What's the question? I want to see it.
And the use of prong collars and shock collars in agility.
There is?
So my question to Alyssa is
Where's the question?
Where they're up there. They keep rolling.
P, I'm on
That
the
would be
phone.
John.
Can you come here?
They just keep rolling up. And then I saw that Alyssa was in high school, so that made me I want to ask that question, if where she's training is, somewhere, like, why?
We don't want to know where you're training.
But
we don't
why are you
throw
asking
anyone
that
under a
question
bus.
there's just so much, like, you know what, when I was coming through agility, those things were used.
Okay.
So,
all right.
so
thoughts on prongs and chokes and electric
So I
collars.
want to know.
I am so naive.
Yeah, well, I'll just tell you, being here for the last 18 years, I guess it's almost 16, 18, I did a seminar out in an area where someone was teaching agility and was unhappy with their dog's self-control, and they took their leash and they stepped on it. And I was shocked, because I don't work in we don't use it, we don't know about it. Mm-hmm. So when I see a high school student ask that question, now that you keep cutting and pasting it, I just like to know. You got to know there's so many better ways.
You know what? If that's what you're exposed to, you do what you can to get on our course, because I will confidently say, there is no place, no time, no reason in dog sports, well, in my life, in dog agility, there is no time, no place, no reason for a prong collar, a choke collar, or electric collar. That was your question.
Yeah.
Absolutely, beyond a shadow of a doubt, you cannot say, but what about this? Because I will tell you, their violence begins where knowledge ends. I believe it was Abraham Lincoln that said that. He's quoted with most things on the internet now. So the violence begins if you see a prong collar, a pinch collar, a choke chain, or an electric collar in agility, it's because their knowledge has ended. Get out. They are not the answer for you in dog sports. I am very passionate about this. Mm-hmm. Very passionate. Violence begins only where knowledge ends. There are better ways to solve your problems with your dog. Please don't ever do that to your dog.
So again, another longtime H360 Say Yes person said, lead by example. And when I was first moving into this kind of training 18 years ago, that one of the Karen Pryor's handouts said, it is lonely at the top. And that some of that new knowledge sometimes feels lonely. Mm-hmm. And what Krista says is that she was the only one in her area, and now she has 5 locally training. So lead by example.
It's our Krista. So students have been with us for a long time. We take ownership of them as people. We
very quickly.
Wow. You know what, Alicia? No. So a trainer told me that to use a prong collar and run my dog over jumps. That, no. That honestly, that is a trainer who unfortunately does not have a full understanding of how to get a dog to do, what we want them to do.
So many better. Susan's blog, it's a great resource. How about you visit the blog? Go in, utilize the search engine for anything you want to learn. You can learn everything we do on that blog. And that will get you where you want to go in our kind of training. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you asked the question.
Yeah,
and you were persistent, and you kept.
Oh, girl.
She was persistent, and she
kept
posting.
One of my 5 mindsets that I love about students: persistence.
I know, and she kept posting, and I thought, do I open the Word? But you know what? I'm good at that. I know when to slide things in. But again, it's really, really important. This community will help you. Susan's blog would be super helpful to you.
And you guys, you can see some of the answers from people in our community.
Look at Rebecca. She's got a Facebook group for juniors in agility. So she's
Come
got
on,
so
Rebecca.
many ideas.
Rebecca, you're awesome. So, I get asked on a fairly regular basis by my husband, when are you going to retire? When are we going to stop this? And John had a pretty good job when we met. We've been together 20 years. So it was nice that I still get roses on Valentine's Day after 20 years. And I had a really good job when we met. So we both owned our own houses, and we were pretty well off. And now after 20 years together, this is not about the money. My goal is to be in a place where I give away 90% of the money that I make in a year. That it's not it. The reason I do it is because of the community we have. And I was giving a lecture at a marketing conference 2 weeks ago, and that's what I said. This is why I do it, because I have the most amazing community of dog lovers. There is no retirement from this, because I just love what I do.
I just like
and
to
we're
take
surrounded
some
by so
time
many of these
off.
people.
Who can help me get her to take 3 days off so I can catch up?
I will admit, this week was not a pleasant week. It's amazing what your body is capable of doing. I did, I believe I had 7 20-minute naps in a 48-hour period.
Okay, so
48 hours.
So if you're reading this, look, Laura offers her facility to practice for H360 students for those who can't find a place. Like, I mean, it's just brilliant.
We have the greatest community. So when you get inside Handling 360 and you post things like that, like the solutions, like you put it out there to the universe and the solutions happen for you.
So Judy's asking, in Blueprint you talk about ring challenges, but does H360 address some of the issues like arousal around the ring and some of the issues of mental game for, for the dogs?
So Judy, we added a new section. We added several new pieces this year, but one of them that we added was the competition den, and that's where there's going to be a number of resources for you and your dog. But it's not just something we start doing once you're ready for competition. We weave those elements in throughout right from prep school.
You could almost do one, but you have
my pinks
on.
What was I going to? Oh,
you could show them how we'd work. That
I have my pinks on.
Shows her pinks on.
I love my pinks. I got them from their spiritual gangster clothing. But nobody in my life appreciates my pinks. My entire family doesn't like them, and people who work for me don't like them.
So we have games that we play with the dogs to work, self-control in those environments. And another one, although it's all encompassing, it's called Are You Listening to My Words? They're games that there's not a lesson in H360 called that, but that's when we're talking amongst ourselves. Is he listening to his words? So it's just games that we play with the dogs to really get them thinking.
Oh, that was in Agility Nation. Are You Listening to My Words? So I was completely lost my train of thought. I was going to ask something. Gone. Okay.
I'm just.
We are a little direct, yes.
Where's direct?
Well,
where does it say that?
At the bottom. Well, it didn't say it, but maybe I read it into it.
We're reading.
Yeah, we're reading. We were trying to keep track of the comments on YouTube. So was that Phil that set that up?
So someone asked about a deaf dog higher up, and then this one is about, I know training uses verbals, but I don't know if I think the handling exercises would be helpful to training a deaf dog.
So what was it? I know.
Oh,
yeah. So our verbals support the physical. So we have physical cues, right? If you're training a deaf dog, you have to be a fast runner if the dog is a really fast dog. So that's the problem. I remember when my dog went deaf when she was still running agility. She was Shelby. She was awesome, but she went deaf. I think she was still running when she was 12. I remember running her at the U.S. Nationals when she was 13 at that point, and having to clap everywhere because she could feel vibrations, but she couldn't hear me. Anyway, you definitely are more challenged, so you're going to have to either be ahead because a dog's peripheral, it's pretty good, but once you get behind, it's all guesswork on their part. All right, so you can give them physical cues that give them permission to take the line they see. But that's what I would do. I would just use all of our physical cues and then add a couple that would mean take everything that in the line you see, and you'd have to use the rest just with your physical cues. I mean,
I saw a clicker on the internet this week that had a light bulb on it.
How cool would that be?
It's you know what? I'm sure this community's seen it too. It was a clicker. It had a little light on it, and I could envision just talking about this, teaching our physical cue of a threadle. So one hand had your light in it, and as you pull through, your little light. So
somebody wrote on our Facebook that they see a number of 4-H clubs now using prong collars in their, and we unfortunately,
let's not go there.
okay, we're not going to go
We're
there.
not going to have this discussion.
Okay, we have experience with that, and we actually have tried to help one 4-H leader in particular, but she wasn't open to the help.
Okay, I don't want to.
Somebody wrote, Nancy Wooden wrote, love the ADD nature of this conversation.
Sorry.
This was completely unplanned.
Because we were talking.
But we can say we are going to have a webinar, like a coaching call for our Handling 360 students. We're having a proper coaching call on Monday night, and we are going to invite everyone to that. And maybe that's what spawned. Let's do this. Let's just go on the line. And then we, poor Phil, it's his first time he's been home with his kids, and he's not really home with his kids because hey, I just had this idea. How do we do this technically? So that's how it happened.
Okay.
Saturday night with Lynda and Susan.
Kathy wants to know, how do you like your new tunnel bags? Likes or dislikes?
I really like them. Yeah.
They're heavy.
John
filled them with.
They're a good workout. No, it was all of our Australia crew that filled them.
I know, but still, they're filled. They're very heavy. And they stay in place.
Yes, Lisa, you can still sign up. myhandling360.com. my.handling360.com.
Can I type?
Yeah, under my name. WW, is it? I don't know. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. Anybody who is, we have a payment plan in there.
I don't know. Sorry, I just would put the regular one. Not my.
myhandling360.com. Isn't that the regular one?
Oops. Is that going to get it?
Yeah, I think so. You could try it if you want it, but I'm pretty sure that's it. Somebody try that link and see if that actually works, would you?
Oh, jeez.
We're so organized.
Who said that we were ADD? We are not.
We're a little bit. Yeah, we are.
And Kim, there's been no chocolate. Just want you to know that.
Jeffrey wants us to post this under the coaching call library.
No.
Was there anything not
Profound?
Very, no, improper.
You only said one swear word.
Did I say a swear
I
word?
think you said SHIT.
But I think it's my handling 360. But okay.
Where did it go?
I posted a question a bit about on Facebook. I'm incredibly curious on your stance on non-reward markers and well-proofed and known behaviors in agility, considering you did proper handling. Non-reward markers in handling.
So the challenge that we see is, let's just use the word wrong. So those no reward markers do not lead the dog to the right decision. So wrong. So the dog stands there, they go,
Krista wants it.
there's a word and I don't understand it. So truthfully, Susan trains a no reward marker, but it's powerful that
somebody in our community was talking about
it's powerful. It's powerful in reinforcement, so that you don't see the dog deflate. And so and I just hear that word wrong or no.
No, but that's not a no reward marker. That's just a
They're just words, right?
Oops.
True reward, no reward markers in our school do not deflate the dog.
No. So, do we have it on the blog? How to train is it in?
So Sharon did find one. We do have one. I think Sharon's got.
Peachy needs to go potty. Feature got spayed a couple days ago.
Changing topic.
I'm just saying that's why she has to go out more often than she.
I'll take her down. But finish the conversation about no reward marker or find Sharon. I think there's a couple of blog posts on it.
There's a lot of blog posts on non-reward markers, but I don't know that any of them really are. We've got a couple like in.
So what's your position on them in handling?
Okay, my position on no reward markers in handling is I do use them, but it's a big but with an asterisk and a big, neon light caveat, because before you use a no reward marker, you have to earn the right. And how you earn the right is, number one, you know that there is a ton of reinforcement that has gone into the behavior you're looking for. I'll give you a great example. Directionals. I try to teach directionals. I want my dogs to understand directionals without my body help sending them one way, that they will go on their own. They're going to make mistakes. Most of the time I say nothing. Yeah, come on back here. So I think you can teach something like that without just a lack of reinforcement is all the no-reward marker you need. When you need it is when they're going off and taking another piece of equipment, because that equipment that they take actually reinforces the mistake that they made. So I want a no reward marker when I'm teaching something that they would go off and do something with. You know, like doing gamble work or something at a distance, because every piece of equipment they do reinforces them not responding to the verbal cue that I use. So in that case, I would use a no reward marker. But so there's two criteria before you use it. Number one, you know that there's all those layers. You haven't done your lumping, that there's tons and tons of layers that you've put in, number one. And number two, that your dog gets higher. Your dog gets excited when they hear a no reward marker. Most people's dogs, especially after one or two no reward markers, they'll get a poop face on, right? They get really deflated. Deflated? She's laughing downstairs. They get deflated because, oh, poor me, I'm wrong again. And then they say, my dog is sensitive. And I have to be really careful when I do agility because my dog is sensitive. If that's your dog, get into Handling 360 because we're going to show you your dog's not sensitive. Your dog just doesn't have the layers of clarity. And we can fix that for you, right? Anybody whose dog just gives up when it makes a mistake, it doesn't have to be like that. It really doesn't. Okay, so I think I've probably gone on a little too long about no reward markers. The lack of reinforcement is all you need unless the dog is gaining reinforcement by carrying on. And an example would be teaching weed pulls. If you don't give a non-reward marker, Agility Nation, we've got this amazing series coming up in Agility Nation. I know I probably shouldn't be talking about Agility Nation but Lynda's downstairs. We have this amazing series that we shot last month. Unbelievable how good this is. So we had a student that came in and a really high drive border collie, actually is a puppy of Swagger's. Fastest border collie I've ever seen in my life is, okay, you're really fast too, but she is so fast. So 2-year-old dog that was weaving fine, and then it got to trialing and it started either not caring about the entries and just diving into the middle, or getting an entry and skipping and going on, and what I call blithering the weed pulls. And that was the mistake. And so we have, coming up in Handling Agility Nation, we have this series where we show the dog who suddenly, the handler, Jane never ever said this to me, but a lot of handlers would say, his brain just leaves him in the trial and he just doesn't, Jane recognizes, what did I miss in my training? So this dog was suddenly just not being able to weave with any consistency. So we got this video, this whole training session. So she would come and we would do one session. I'd give her homework. She'd go back and do it. And we got it all. It was fixed. I think it was 4 sessions. It was fixed. It was amazing to see this dog who went from a typical border collie, blah, 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 when they do the weed pulls, to a dog that's super fast, but now I'm going to be thoughtful. And the mistake that she made was she did not have a non-reward marker. She did not use a non-reward marker in her training of weed pulls, and which meant the dog was allowed to be reinforced. Like if it was just 2x2s and they were just doing like 4 pulls, then the dog missed, it got the reinforcement of carrying on before it came back. Into a high drive border collie, the chance to do equipment is massive reinforcement. So you will have, and you guys have probably seen border collies out there that they've been doing agility for 6 years and they still can't weave in a trial. The handler has to hold their tongue the right way, get right there to help them in the weave pulls and stay right beside them. And that's what this dog would have been, and it was fixed. It was just so cool to see. Okay, questions. Saber-tooth tiger.
Hop it in. Minty. D, come on. Get in. Hop it in. Good girl.
Dee's 16 years old tomorrow. She's allowed to growl at anyone she wants. Okay, question. Sometimes it's John or me. It's okay. She's 16. She's still a really functional, happy, like she did that demo for him.
Yeah, she's happy.
She still plays with a Frisbee, but you know what? She wants to growl. Okay.
Sharon, the blogs didn't come up.
when we'll host up. Megan wants to know when we're going back to Australia. You know, you just never know,
Kathy.
Megan.
She tries.
Kathy does. Kathy, you want persistent?
Mm-hmm.
Kathy's persistent. So, yeah.
How are we going to wrap this up?
There is a small chance that my group might get back together in April.
Nice.
So there is a small chance, Megan, I might come over in April. Oh my gosh.
Sarah, I think you should look for a Facebook group that can support some new learning for you, and ask around about other ways to train.
There would be a chance that I would suggest you should just use a kibble in training. And it would be if you had a dog like Buzz. Because we want to get a dog like Buzz in high states of arousal. First, unrelated to agility, and get him functioning and doing things what we ask. And then we still want to grow agility behaviors, but I don't want him to try and learn in that state. So I would give him, kibble. I wouldn't use kibble though. I would use like really high value rewards. But if you have a dog, maybe, I've seen some poodles. Shelties would be a better example. If you've got a super high value reward for a Sheltie, they would get so spun that they would get to that aroused state, which makes it harder to learn. So I don't get me wrong. Handling 360 is about getting them into a aroused, high over the top state outside of agility equipment, teaching them how to be functional with that. And then at the same time, other lessons are in front of agility equipment, in a lower state of arousal and calm, unnaturally calm, because we want it to be unlike an agility setting in any way, so that we build in thoughtfulness in that state. And then as you grow up in your agility, in your handling 360, these two, they merge. And so we can put a dog into the highest state of arousal we can, screaming and jumping up and down, going, woo! And then get them to do the most complex set of agility sequences they can.
It goes back to what Judy asked about self-control in arousal, really. So, all good things.
Megan.
How are we going to wrap this up? The boys are downstairs. Are you girls still talking? What are you talking about up there? Who are you talking to? What are you doing? Why are you in the cookies?
I thought you bring reinforcements so we could go longer.
Well, I'm happy too, but the boys are like, what are you doing? They want to turn the TV up.
They can turn the TV up. They don't mind. This is unofficial. Tell them they can turn the TV up. Just beep into the beeper.
No, I'm good.
I will. The pinks will be shown.
No.
Well, I think the way this works, don't get me wrong, I'm not sure. But I think the way this works is the recording goes on YouTube, and then it can be posted to Facebook, and I think Phil will figure this out. Will you ever consider coming to Portugal? I love Portugal.
I've never been.
I
loved Spain.
I have a good friend. I know Ricardo won't be watching this. I have a good friend who is he's a world champion of karate, I believe. I'm going to do an interview for him for Agility Nation on mental mindset and competition. So Ricardo lives in Portugal, but I love Porto. There was a world championships there one year. It was beautiful. Actually, a little bit of trivia. I wrote Rough Love in Porto, Portugal.
Really?
Yep. It was probably 70 to 80% written in Porto that week. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
So let me just look and see if there's any more questions on
Facebook?
here.
How long has this been? I have no idea.
I think an hour and a half. I'm not sure what time we started. We're supposed to be doing other things. Do you know that?
Now that we know how to do this, we can do it more often.
I don't see anything there.
Okay, so yep. So any other questions there for you guys? So Trish, we'll post it on my Facebook page. You can post whatever you like there.
2 hours, Sarah says.
Wow. Okay, maybe we should wrap it up. And maybe we should get a stopwatch the next time we do this and put a stopwatch. Okay,
It was fun.
Yeah, well, and we'll do it again.
And this is what happens sometimes in this office when we're
Are you-
supposed to be doing X and we
aren't
get
you
Y.
coming? Aren't we going to do class tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow we're doing morning class and we have work to do.
But if we had some extra time, we could do another one tomorrow.
Susan.
Okay, guys, it's been fun. I don't know how to stop it, so we have to keep going. So, thank you all
Thank
for
you.
joining in. This was
It
awesome.
was fun.
And hey, Karen Smith, how are you? Oh, Phil, has Phil been on it? Phil, we're stopping. We're
Oh, he
signing off.
showed us the time. That's what he was showing us.
Oh, cool. It is 2 hours.
ADD.
Okay.
They showed us time.
Cookies.
Chocolate. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you. I want to give a special shout out to the people who have been on here who are in our online community already.
Wow.
Whether it be IC Peeps or Handling 360, we just love you all.
Wow.
You're just so supportive. And the way you help people who showed struggles here, that's why we love you.
Yeah.
Right?
That's why you inspire us
Come here,
every day. Thank you. Swagger.
Yes, he always has something in his mouth, constantly. Okay, we'll see you guys. Good
Bye,
night.
Karen. Bye, Lee. Bye, Astrid. Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks for helping Sarah. Really appreciate that.
Okay, Phil, you can dim the
I was
lights, Phil.
pointing at something.